Chapter 1: The Fading Skies of Nibiru. Darkness stretched across Nibiru like molten smoke. Storms raged, tearing through mountains of crystal. Air trembled, heavy with dust and flame. The people coughed beneath thin, sickly skies. In the grand halls, echoes of worry lingered. Anu walked alone along the glimmering corridors. The weight of crowns pressed upon his shoulders. Lords whispered in shadows, voices brittle and low. In southern domes, children lay gasping in silence. Northern spires trembled under the weight of knowledge. Scholars charted failing winds and poisoned streams. Miners spoke in hushed tones of dead veins. The riverbeds were black with sedimented ash. No song rose from the city's hollow hearts. Anu entered the Hall of Winds, silent and vast. Pillars of living stone glimmered with faint light. Priests burned incense, smoke thin and trembling. Anu raised his voice. It cracked like thunder. Our planet falters. Our people weaken under stars. The council shifted uneasily, fear etched in shadows. Some muttered of abandoning the old domes. Some spoke of war between rival houses. The atmosphere burned, its thinness stealing breath. Storms bent mountains, rending towers asunder. Streams poisoned, wells dry, crops stunted and withered. Every pulse of life struggled to endure. Enlil stood armored, eyes bright with storm. Guard the thrones, punish dissent, maintain order. But Enki raised calm hands, robes flowing gently. We cannot command air with swords, brother. Our survival lies not in force alone. We must seek new sources beyond our skies. He spread star charts across the obsidian floor. Planets shimmered faintly against the black void. One world glimmered, blue and green, distant. Its mountains whispered, with golden veins beneath crust. Its rivers coiled like silver serpents through lands. This world, Enki said softly, may save us. Enlil's brow furrowed, shadows of doubt sharp. It is distant, dangerous, unknown. We risk everything. Some lords whispered fear of the void's cold. Others murmured hope, their hearts trembling with desire. Anu's gaze swept across the chamber like fire. I decree exploration, preparation, hope must guide us. Trumpets of crystal rang across domed towers. Heralds ran, carrying the decree to every city. Workers paused, eyes raised toward golden skies. In shipyards, engines roared to life with fire. Forges blazed, sending sparks to the dark heavens. Children pressed faces to crystal windows, wide-eyed. Poets carved odes to departure into stone. The mission would pierce the void to Kai. Ships of light were built, vast as cities. Massive hulls shimmered, adorned with sigils of power. Vessels held stores of supplies, instruments, and seeds. Legions of Anunnaki entered, ready to depart. Enki guided navigation, with stars mapped precisely. Enlil commanded order, the law of kings unbroken. Ninursag brought sacred seeds, tending life's essence. All prepared to leave the fading planet behind. The night before departure, Nibiru trembled beneath storms. Lightning danced across crystal spires, shadows jagged and long. Families gathered silently, watching gods in preparation. The air smelled of ionized crystal and fear. In the council chambers, whispers of tension grew. Old rivalries simmered beneath the veil of duty. Some envoys sought priority seats on vessels. Some feared being left behind, trapped on Nibiru. Anu remained seated, staff glowing with molten light. He spoke softly, words heavy as molten stone. We leave to save our home, not ourselves. We carry our people's survival across the void. We tread where none have dared before. May our judgment be guided by wisdom alone. Enki knelt in contemplation, touching the charts gently. This world is alive. Its veins shine with promise. We must move with care, with respect, with foresight. Enlil's voice rumbled, sharp and unyielding. Care cannot undo the chaos of failure. We will impose order where necessary, or all is lost. Ninhursag stood serene, cradling her sacred vessels. Life must follow. We cannot take without giving. Outside, the storm screamed, as if hearing their oath. The stars twinkled faintly, distant witnesses of fate. Ships were fueled with engines humming like living fire. Engines pulsed, responding to commands written in light. Massive hulls reflected storms above, gleaming with purpose. Legions of Anunnaki gathered in preparation, solemn and silent. The council convened one final time before departure. Anu surveyed his people. Pride and fear mingled. Remember this, our survival depends on precision. Our unity, our discipline, our courage must endure. The path is dangerous, the void indifferent. Ships trembled as energy spread through circuits and pylons. The engines awakened with hums, resonating like thunder. Children peered from crystal windows, wide-eyed and silent. Poets etched prayers and songs into golden stones. The first ship lifted, trailing sparks of fire. One by one, the fleet rose from Nibiru. The air trembled under engines, consuming roar. The people watched, hearts heavy with awe. Darkness swallowed the vessels as they pierced the atmosphere. Storms raged below, lightning clawed at the spires. Yet the fleet rose, unbroken, determined, unstoppable. Enki stood at helm, eyes fixed on distant Kai. Enlil commanded with iron, every order precise, every motion strict. Ninhursag tended sacred seeds, whispering to their essence. The path through the void stretched endlessly ahead. Stars glimmered faintly, guiding, indifferent, cold. Every pulse of engines carried hope and fear. The first day passed, the fleet moved steadily. The second day brought silence, weightless and profound. Vast emptiness surrounded them, black as molten night. Thoughts of Nibiru haunted every mind aboard. Would their homes survive without them, or collapse? Some whispered fear, others recited oaths of loyalty. Enki charted paths, adjusting for cosmic winds. Enlil disciplined soldiers, maintaining order and readiness. Ninhursag nurtured life, tending every sacred vessel. The fleet traveled, their lights faint against the void. Every star passed was a silent witness to destiny. The Anunnaki sailed the endless cosmic sea. And thus began the journey that would shape humanity. Chapter 2, The Voyage to Kai. The void embraced them, vast, eternal, and silent. Stars shimmered faintly, cold watchers of fragile vessels. Engines throbbed, pulsing with steady golden light. Every heartbeat of the ships echoed through metal. The Anunnaki drifted between worlds, breathless, uncertain, resolute. Inside command halls, crystal screens glowed with maps. Enki traced patterns of starlight with calm fingers. Nebulae burned like fires in the infinite dark. He spoke softly, his voice calm and precise. Our path bends toward Kai, hidden beyond constellations. Enlil stood firm, armored, eyes sharp as blades. Maintain formations. No deviation. Discipline is survival. His soldiers saluted, their eyes cold with duty. Every motion inside the ships felt rehearsed, exact. Fear lingered, but order masked its trembling shadow. Ninhursag moved through the chambers of life. She touched glowing pods filled with sacred seeds. Her whispers caressed the vessels like gentle winds. Where we go, life must follow, must bloom. Her hands glowed faintly, carrying warmth through silence. Days turned to cycles, cycles blurred into stillness. The fleet glided across the unending cosmic sea. Vast emptiness pressed against their minds like weight. Songs were whispered to comfort restless children. Priests chanted hymns of light in quiet corners. But the void was not wholly silent. Fragments of ancient stars drifted as glowing debris. Some pierced hulls, sparking fires that were swiftly quenched. Others scraped across shields, hissing like venomous serpents. The fleet endured, but tension grew like vines. In the council chamber, aboard the lead vessel, Anu appeared in shimmering light, projected from afar. His voice carried through the ships like thunder. Hold steady, the journey is our trial. The void tests us, but we will prevail. Whispers grew among lesser lords and commanders. Some questioned Enki's reliance on fragile star maps. Others doubted Enlil's harsh grip on discipline. Seeds of dissent germinated in silence and fear. Every faction watched, waiting for signs of weakness. Enki studied a sudden flare of light. His eyes narrowed at an approaching storm. A field of fire ahead, he whispered. The screens flickered, displaying waves of cosmic dust. Charged particles lashed across the void like whips. Shields to maximum, Enlil ordered, voice sharp, commanding. Engines roared louder, straining against invisible currents. Ships shuddered as lightning tore across their hulls. Metal screamed, sparks flew, corridors trembled with chaos. Soldiers secured chambers, while priests prayed in terror. Through the storm, Enki guided with precision. His fingers danced across constellations, correcting each course. Every adjustment saved lives. Every calculation carried weight. The fleet pierced through fire, battered yet unbroken. And silence returned, heavy, endless, absolute. But not all vessels survived the storm. 2 ships drifted, torn, their lights extinguished forever. Anunnaki wept, their cries echoing through metallic halls. Ninursag knelt, her hands pressed to the floor. Life lost must be honored, remembered, carried forward. Enlil stood unmoved, his eyes cold, unyielding. Sacrifice is the price of survival, he said. His soldiers echoed the words, their voices hollow. But bitterness spread among families of the lost. Their faith in Enlil's command began to fracture. Enki spoke little, his silence heavy with thought. He traced the surviving fleet's new trajectory carefully. We are close, Kai calls beyond the stars. His words carried both hope and grave warning. For the path ahead glimmered with shifting danger. After many cycles, Kai appeared at last. A jewel of blue and green, alive, radiant. Oceans shimmered like liquid sapphire beneath swirling clouds. Mountains pierced skies, capped with glimmering crowns of snow. Forests stretched vast, emerald carpets across continents. The Anunnaki stared in awe at Kai's beauty. Their breaths caught, their hearts trembled with wonder. Whispers spread, this is salvation, this is hope. Even Enlil's stern gaze softened for a moment. And Ninursag wept, her tears glowing like stars. But Anu's voice echoed through the fleet again. Remember, Kai is not ours, it is alive. We must tread carefully, take only what is needed. Our survival must not become destruction's hand. Yet already, divisions stirred beneath the wonder. Some longed to claim Kai as new dominion. Others wished only for resources, nothing more. The seeds of conflict sprouted, unseen, inevitable. For Kai was not empty. It breathed, it dreamed. The ships descended, streaks of fire across skies. Thunder rolled as vessels pierced clouds and air. Mountains shook beneath their blazing entry. Oceans rippled, forests bent in sudden winds. Earth trembled, awakening to visitors from the stars. Thus the Anunnaki touched Kai for the first time. Their feet pressed soil that pulsed with hidden veins. Gold glimmered beneath mountains, whispering promises of survival. But the gods of Nibiru had no idea that this world would change them forever. Chapter 3: The First Landing. The ships pierced clouds with thunderous cries. Flames trailed behind their gleaming golden hulls. Mountains trembled, oceans roared, forests bent low. Birds scattered in frantic, spiraling flocks. Beasts fled, sensing a power descending. Enki's vessel touched ground with gentle precision. Dust rose, swirling like spirits in wind. He stepped forth, robes flowing, eyes bright. The air tasted rich, alive, untamed. "Kai breathes," he whispered, voice filled with awe. Enlil's ship landed with force and thunder. The ground split beneath its searing weight. Soldiers emerged, armor gleaming, eyes sharp. They raised banners, marking dominion with steel. "Claim this world," Enlil declared, voice unyielding. Ninhursag descended last, hands clutching sacred vessels. She knelt, touching soil with reverent care. The earth pulsed warmly beneath her palms. She scattered seeds upon the trembling ground. Green shoots unfurled instantly, bowing to her will. The Anunnaki gathered, eyes wide with wonder. Forests surrounded them, rivers sang nearby. Mountains glimmered with golden veins in sunlight. Everywhere life whispered, ancient and unbroken. They stood at the threshold of destiny. Enki raised his hand toward distant peaks. "There," he said, pointing to glittering stone. "Gold lies hidden in mountains, pure and vast." Enlil's soldiers cheered, their voices sharp, triumphant. The mission's purpose burned brighter than awe. But Enki paused, his gaze fixed. "This world is alive, breathing with spirit. We must tread lightly, not break its balance." His words hung heavy, carried on wind. Few listened, most hungered for promise of gold. Tents rose swiftly upon fertile plains nearby. Structures gleamed, carved from alloy and stone. Forges roared, echoing like beasts across valleys. Tools rang as minds opened with force. The land groaned beneath their relentless ambition. Night fell, cloaking Kai in starry silence. Fires burned within camps, shadows danced long. Priests sang hymns, voices trembling with hope. Children of Anunnaki listened wide-eyed, whispering dreams. Soldiers patrolled, weapons gleaming under moonlight. Enki walked alone by a silver river. Its waters shimmered beneath the pale moon. He touched the current, felt its rhythm. "This world has a heart," he murmured softly. "Will we protect it or tear it?" Enlil strode through camps, eyes cold, stern. "Work faster," he commanded. "Time devours us." Nibiru waits, its skies still fading thin. His words drove miners deeper into mountains. Picks struck stone, sparks flew, echoes rose. Ninhursag tended the first gardens on Kai. Seeds sprouted, roots grasping soil with joy. Fruits shimmered with strange, radiant hues. Animals gathered near, curious, unafraid of her. She smiled, whispering blessings into each leaf. But tensions brewed beneath the golden dawn. Some Anunnaki longed for power, not survival. Others dreamed of remaining, calling Kai their home. The council's unity began to fracture quietly. Whispers grew louder, echoing through sleeping chambers. Enki stood beneath constellations glittering above. His thoughts raced, heavy with foreboding. This landing is only the first step. Kai will shape us as we shape it. The balance between awe and greed is fragile. Dawn painted mountains with fire and gold. The Anunnaki rose to greet new labor. Mines echoed, rivers carried stone downstream. Forges thundered, camps spread across fertile plains. The gods of Nibiru had arrived fully. Thus began the first dawn of dominion. And the earth, alive, whispered back in silence. It would not yield without consequence or memory. Chapter 4, The Mines of Abzu. Dawn rose over Kai with crimson fire. Shadows stretched long across the fertile plains. Smoke curled from forges, black against sky. The Anunnaki prepared for deeper labors ahead. Enki led them south toward shimmering lands. Rivers coiled like serpents through dense jungles. Forests hummed with insects, vast and alive. The ground beneath shimmered with veins of promise. "This is Abzu," Enki said, voice reverent. "The underworld of waters, rich with hidden gold." Enlil studied the land, expression sharp, calculating. "Then we claim it, begin the work." Mines were carved into mountains with thunder. Stone shattered under drills of blazing light. Tunnels echoed with endless strikes of tools. Sweat fell, dripping onto dark stone floors. Anunnaki twirled, their bodies strong but weary. The air grew heavy, choking within caverns. Fires burned constantly, filling shafts with smoke. Gold dust clung to every breath they drew. Enki walked among them, listening in silence. He heard their voices, weary, strained, trembling. "Too much, too long, we cannot endure." Their eyes pleaded, but order chained them tight. Enlil's soldiers enforced labor with ruthless precision. "Work faster," they commanded, whips crackling with fire. Dissent was crushed beneath steel and decree. Yet whispers of revolt spread like wildfire. Ninursag descended into the depths of Abzu. Her robes brushed against blackened cavern walls. She touched a miner's trembling, dust-streaked face. "This is not survival, this is torment." Her words rippled, stirring hearts long kept silent. Enki agreed, his gaze heavy with sorrow. "We sought salvation, not endless chains of toil. If this continues, our people will break." But Enlil dismissed them with cold defiance. "Sacrifice sustains Nibiru. Weakness will not prevail." The mines groaned, walls cracking under strain. Cave-ins buried workers beneath molten stone. Cries echoed, trapped souls swallowed by darkness. Every disaster deepened resentment toward Enlil's rule. Priests prayed above, incense burning without pause. Their voices rose, begging the skies for mercy. But the skies remained silent, stars indifferent. Only the sound of picks filled the void. One night, miners gathered in secret chambers. Their voices whispered rebellion in trembling tones. "We serve, we bleed, yet none remember. We perish in darkness, while lords feast above." Their oath was sworn in fire and dust. Enki heard their plans, yet kept silent. He understood their pain, their desperate resolve. Still, he feared the wrath of Enlil. Conflict was inevitable, woven into their fates. Ninursag walked among wounded, tending their scars. Her hands glowed, easing pain with whispers. She wept silently, her tears staining the soil. Creation will suffer if cruelty becomes law. The Abzu mines grew deeper, darker, crueler. Tunnels stretched endlessly, veins carved bare of gold. Anunnaki hands blistered, their spirits fraying apart. Even soldiers began to falter under strain. Whispers grew louder, no longer afraid. Songs of revolt spread through the caverns. The Anunnaki no longer trembled in silence. The fire of rebellion kindled within hearts. Enlil tightened his grip, commanding more force. His armies patrolled, their eyes cold, unyielding. But beneath the mountains, fury gathered like storms. The mines became the crucible of fate. Enki stood on a ridge above Abzu. He gazed at the mines, vast and hollow. A heaviness settled in his chest. This cannot last. Something must change soon. The stars above shimmered, silent and waiting. Thus the Abzu became more than mines. It became the forge of unrest, of destiny, and the gods themselves would face its wrath. Chapter 5: The Descent upon the Blue Jewel. The void stretched silent and endless before them. Nibiru's great vessel glided between rivers of stars. Its hull gleamed with alloys unknown to humankind. Engines pulsed with rhythmic thunder, breaking cosmic stillness. Inside, corridors thrummed with anticipation and tension. The crew of an Anunnaki moved with solemn precision. Their eyes reflected both pride and quiet dread, for they were leaving behind their eternal homeland. Alalu stood within the command chamber's heart. His hands rested upon controls of crystal glyphs. Before him, vast displays revealed Earth's sapphire glow. Clouds swirled like white veils upon her surface. The Anunnaki whispered reverently, calling Earth Eridu, the faraway abode, destined to cradle their mission. To them, it was both promise and exile, a place of salvation, yet drenched in uncertainty. Anu's council had sanctioned their perilous descent. Nibiru's atmosphere still cried for restoration, demanding gold. Earth, rich in veins of shining treasure, awaited. But first, they must survive her fiery embrace. Alalu lifted his voice, deep as thunder's echo. Brothers and sisters, behold the blue jewel below. Our fate, our future, lies upon its soil. Nibiru's breath depends upon the ore beneath waves. The ship's descent began, metal trembling in resistance. Flames licked the edges as atmosphere drew near. Clouds tore apart, revealing mountains, rivers, and plains. The crew felt the weight of destiny thicken. They braced as the vessel pierced skies of Eridu. Great forests spread beneath, teeming with unknown life. Beasts roared, and winged creatures filled the heavens. Oceans glittered like mirrors, reflecting divine intrusion. At last, with thunderous might, the ship descended. It carved a scar upon Earth's fertile ground. Dust clouds rose, swallowing the silver hull whole. When silence returned, history itself had shifted course. The hatch opened, releasing airlocks with hissing breaths. The Anunnaki emerged, armored in radiant battle gear. Their boots pressed into soil, never touched by gods. The ground quivered, as if recognizing their arrival. Alalu knelt, his hand upon the alien earth. He spoke softly, voice trembling with solemn awe. Eridu, land of beginnings, hear the will of Nibiru. We claim you in the name of survival. Others followed, planting staffs etched with Nibiru's sigils. Symbols of sovereignty glittered under the golden sun. Above, strange birds cried out, disturbed by invasion. The wilderness watched, silently bearing witness to conquest. Night fell, cloaking earth in velvet and firelight. The Anunnaki gathered around their luminous hearthstones. They spoke of victories past, of uncertain tomorrows. Some whispered fear of hostile skies and beasts. Alalu alone remained gazing toward the horizon. Stars shimmered, yet none resembled Nibiru's familiar glow. He wondered if they had traded one doom for another hidden deep within the strange paradise. The gods of Nibiru had descended upon Earth. And with their first breath of Eridu's air, the destiny of mankind stirred in silence, awaiting a tale still yet to be born. Chapter 6, The First Labors of Gold. The dawn rose, painting Eridu in molten hues. The Anunnaki stirred within their silver vessel's womb. Their mission was clear, their burden undeniable. The hunt for gold must begin without delay. Alalu led them across ridges and valleys. Their steps left divine impressions in virgin soil. Strange beasts prowled, some gentle, some monstrous and fierce. The gods walked unshaken, their weapons humming quietly. They sought rivers, mountains, and glittering seams of stone. Their senses sharpened by tools born of Nibiru's craft. Devices hummed with radiant lights and spectral whispers. The earth revealed secrets under their probing gaze. Near a vast sea, Alalu halted his march. Waves crashed like thunder, spraying salt upon armor. Here the readings blazed, strong and undeniable. Veins of gold shimmered deep within the ground. Cheers erupted from the assembled Anunnaki host. Their exile had found its reason, its promise. But toil lay ahead, relentless and unforgiving. The gods must labor as men had never. They raised great fires and forged their instruments. Metallic beasts were born, roaring with ceaseless hunger. Machines clawed the earth, tearing mountains into dust. Rivers ran dark with soil and ancient ore. Yet even with such power, the work was slow. The earth resisted, her treasures buried deep below. Each day demanded sweat from beings called immortal. Each night, the stars mocked their wearied frames. Some Anunnaki murmured in discontent and resentment. Are we not gods, heirs of celestial thrones? Why must we dig like slaves of soil? This burden is beneath us, unworthy of divinity. But Alalu silenced their doubts with fire. His voice carried the weight of destiny itself. Nibiru gasps for breath, our kin suffer still. Each nugget mined here is life for them. So they pressed on, breaking stone and bone. Their encampment grew into halls of shining metal. Pillars rose, marked with glyphs of Nibiru's name. The first city on earth they called Eridu. Fires lit the night, smoke curled into heavens. Their chants echoed across forests and empty plains. The wilderness bent, reshaped by divine will. The gods had become laborers of the soil. But beneath the surface, tension slowly brewed. Pride warred with duty in Anunnaki hearts. What began as mission would soon spark rebellion. And destiny's wheel turned, slow but inevitable. Still, in those first days of golden toil, hope shone like the metal they unearthed. The Anunnaki believed salvation was within reach. Nibiru would live because Earth had yielded. Chapter 7, The Rise of Eridu's First Kingdom. The gold had begun to flow, yet the work was endless. From dawn until dusk, the Anunnaki labored with machines and with hands. Ore was pried loose from mountains, sifted from rivers, gathered into vaults. Every stone broken was another breath promised to Nibiru. But no matter how bright the ingots shone, the gods felt weariness. These were beings born of thrones and celestial courts. They were children of a world draped in eternal tradition. And now they bent their backs like miners and peasants. Alalu, once triumphant conqueror, now king upon foreign soil, saw this change. From the high balcony of their vessel-turned citadel, he looked upon Eridu. What began as scattered tents and metallic shelters had grown. Walls of stone now ringed the camp, holding the wilderness at bay. Corridors of paved stone stretched like veins across the settlement. At their heart rose the great hall, a house of command. Its pillars gleamed with polished alloys etched with Nibiru's glyphs. On each surface, the story of exile and survival was inscribed. Gardens had been carved from Earth's rich soil. Irrigation channels brought water from nearby rivers, flowing like silver threads. Trees strange to Anunnaki, eyes bore fruits of vivid colors. Birds wheeled overhead, their calls mixing with hammers and chants. The furnaces glowed red into the night, melting raw ore. Streams of liquid gold ran into molds, cooling into ingots. Stack upon stack filled their vaults, guarded by armed sentinels. The wealth of Earth was slowly being tamed by divine hands. But wealth could not soothe unrest. Around the hearthstones of night, voices whispered with discontent. Are we not gods, born to rule and to reign? Why must we toil like the children of clay? Alalu heard the murmurs, and he feared division. So he decreed thrones to be built within the great hall. Each throne bore the sigil of an Anunnaki house. Each rank and duty was carved into the laws of Eridu. Thus, the first kingdom upon Earth was born. Eridu was no longer a mining camp, but a city of gods, their hierarchy preserved in stone. Here, leaders commanded, workers obeyed, harmony held by fragile bonds. By day, order reigned, with voices raised in praise of Alalu. By night, rivalries whispered in shadow, dreams of power awakening. Some longed to return to Nibiru, bearing gold and glory. Others gazed at Earth's vast lands and saw thrones of their own. The city glittered against the wilderness, a jewel upon soil. Beasts circled the walls, but dared not enter. Forests bowed before their fires, rivers yielded to their forges. The earth itself began to bend beneath celestial will. In the great hall, Alalu raised his voice before all. We are the bridge between worlds, the lifeblood of Nibiru. Eridu is not exile, it is our temple of survival. Through it, Nibiru shall breathe again, and we shall endure. Cheers filled the chamber, yet unease lingered beneath. The kingdom was strong, but fragile as spun glass. For within the hearts of gods, pride never sleeps, and the seeds of future conflict had already taken root. Chapter 8, The Coming of Enki and Enlil. The city of Eridu stood proud, yet its heart trembled. The furnaces roared, the vaults brimmed, but the people whispered. Tension coiled like a serpent, waiting for its strike. The kingdom needed more than gold. It needed order, balance, vision. From the heavens, the answer came. 2 figures descended from the skies. Their arrival faded. Brothers, yet rivals, each carried the weight of Nibiru's will. They were known later as Enki, and Enlil. Their vessel pierced the clouds with radiant light. The Anunnaki gathered in awe as it landed. The hatch opened, releasing a rush of alien air. And from within stepped 2 princes of destiny. Enki, the master of wisdom and deep waters. His eyes shimmered like oceans beneath distant suns. Clad in garments adorned with flowing wave-like glyphs, he carried the calm of knowledge, the patience of rivers. Enlil, the lord of command and divine decree. His gaze burned with authority, sharp as storm winds. He wore robes inscribed with the sigils of kingship. Around him radiated the aura of order and law. Alalu greeted them with solemn reverence and unease. For though he had claimed earth, their blood was purer. They were sons of Anu, heirs to the celestial throne, and their presence carried both salvation and threat. The Anunnaki knelt, voices rising in chants of praise. 2 leaders, 2 destinies, had stepped upon earth, but already the seeds of rivalry were clear. For each brother saw Eridu not as exile, but as a kingdom worthy of ruling. Enki walked the rivers, studied the soils and beasts. He marveled at Earth's abundance, its raw, unshaped promise. He spoke softly of harmony, of blending with creation. His heart leaned toward nurturing rather than conquering. Enlil strode through the city's walls with sharp command. He measured every stone, every hall, every throne. He spoke of laws, of order, of obedience. His vision was not harmony, but dominion. The Anunnaki felt the weight of their presence. Some gathered to Enki, drawn by his wisdom. Others swore to Enlil, inspired by his authority. And beneath Eridu's towers, lines of allegiance were drawn. Alalu watched this divide with growing dread. He had been king upon earth, first to rule. But now, these princes threatened to eclipse his reign. Their rivalry could either save or shatter the mission. By night, the fires of Eridu burned brightly. The brothers feasted with the hosts of Anunnaki. Yet behind their smiles, storms brewed in silence. The air itself trembled with unspoken challenge. For in their arrival, destiny had shifted course. The first city of gods now bore 2 thrones, and Earth would soon witness a struggle eternal. Between wisdom and law, between Enki and Enlil, the kingdom of Eridu had risen. But with these brothers coming, unity would fracture, and the tale of gods upon earth would darken. Chapter 9, The Seeds of Rivalry. Eridu glittered under the golden sun, yet shadows grew. The Anunnaki labored, their machines clawing rivers and stone. Vaults brimmed with ingots, destined to heal Nibiru's skies. But beneath the glow of triumph, discord whispered restlessly. The brothers Enki and Enlil had taken their places. Both commanded loyalty, both inspired devotion, both demanded respect. Yet their visions of Earth were as different as day and night. One spoke of harmony, the other of authority. Enki wandered among rivers, studying their depths with fascination. He tasted the waters, listened to their flowing voices. He knelt upon the soil, feeling life stir beneath. He said, "This earth is alive, she breathes like us." To his followers, he taught patience and curiosity. He urged them to work with the land, not against. He designed tools of gentler power, shaped with care. And where Enki walked, gardens bloomed and waters flourished. But Enlil walked the streets of Eridu's city. He looked upon its walls and towers with pride. He saw not gardens, but fortresses, symbols of command. "Strength will preserve us," he told his loyal circle. He demanded order, stricter ranks, unbroken discipline. He spoke of duty, law, and unquestioned obedience. His vision was of a kingdom ruled with clarity. No chaos, no weakness, no drifting into disorder. The Anunnaki found themselves caught between 2 flames. Some loved Enki's wisdom, his kindness, his vision of balance. Others revered Enlil's firmness, his voice of command. At night the camps divided, songs sung in separate halls. Alalu watched this divide with growing bitterness. Had he not been first to earth, first to rule? Yet now his throne was overshadowed by princes' presence. His crown seemed fragile, slipping from his weary hands. Whispers reached him in secret gatherings of discontent. Why follow brothers who quarrel? Are we not many? Why serve Alalu when his claim grows weak? Ambition stirred like fire in the Nanaki's veins. Rivalries spread not only among leaders, but within ranks. Clans formed, loyalty tied to lineage and house. At the feasting halls, gazes sharpened like blades unsheathed. Smiles were worn, but hearts plotted silent rebellion. Still, the work continued under the rising suns. Ore was mined, melted, molded into radiant bars. Ships bore treasures skyward, sending lifeblood back to Nibiru. The mission endured, though unity cracked at its seams. Enki dreamed of peace, of nurturing Earth with care. Enlil dreamed of empire, of dominion without dissent. Alalu dreamed of his throne, restored in glory. And the Anunnaki dreamed of freedom from endless toil. Thus were the seeds of rivalry sown in Eridu. Seeds watered with pride, ambition, and hidden resentment. Seeds that would soon sprout into storms of conflict. And Earth would bear witness to the gods' first war. Chapter 10, the first rebellion of the Anunnaki. The halls of Eridu echoed with clashing voices. Not the roar of war, but the murmurs of unrest. The Anunnaki were weary, their arms heavy with toil. Their divine pride chafed under the weight of labor. They had come from thrones among the stars. Now they shoveled stone, hauled ore, and fed furnaces. For beings who called themselves gods, the burden was unbearable. Their whispers grew bolder, swelling into cries of defiance. By night, they gathered in secret places. Fires burned low, casting shadows on grim faces. Words of resentment spread like sparks in dry grass. We are lords, yet we are worked like slaves. Some cursed Alalu, the king who had promised glory. Others cursed Enlil, whose laws pressed down like iron. Even Enki's wisdom seemed distant to the weary. The gods themselves had grown restless against their rulers. The discontent crystallized into a plan of revolt. A leader among workers raised his voice above others. He was strong, fierce, and fearless in his speech. Why bow forever when we are many and strong? He spoke of laying down tools, refusing to labor, of rising as one against the thrones of command. The Anunnaki, tired and desperate, roared their approval. The first rebellion of gods was set in motion. At dawn, the forges of Eridu fell silent. The furnaces cooled, the machines lay still and cold. No songs of work rose, only chants of defiance. The city trembled beneath the will of its builders. Enlil stormed into the silent fields with fury. His voice thundered like storms across empty valleys. Return to your labors, or be struck by law. You forget your place, children of rebellion. But no hand lifted, no tool struck stone. The workers stared back with fire in their eyes. Their silence was louder than any battle cry. Their defiance pierced Enlil's command like sharpened steel. Enki came, his words soft as rivers flowing. He urged peace, begged patience, promised relief and reward. Yet even his wisdom could not quench their rage. For pride once wounded bleeds deeper than reason's balm. Alalu sat in his high hall, despairing. His throne was no longer secure, his power crumbling. He had brought them here, yet lost their trust. Now even the workers spat his name in contempt. The rebellion spread through the city like wildfire. Tools became weapons, chants became roars of uprising. The Anunnaki marched to the gates of the palace. Their fists struck stone, demanding justice and freedom. And so, for the first time in history, the gods themselves rose against their own kings. Heaven's children tasted rebellion upon Earth's young soil. And destiny shifted again beneath the shadow of Eridu.